Hello, hello. Allie here. Happy Tuesday. Just get my other screen up and running here and we'll get ready to go. There she is. Yippee. Okay. Happy Tuesday to all you guys. We're going to be making our own stamps using die cuts. Yep, we're going to make our own stamps. Because not only do you have to use them in the way that they were most likely intended, by cutting cardstock, coloring them up, that kind of thing, but you can actually use die cuts for your own stamp image. Like for instance, this does not come with a stamp set at all. This is a Spellbinders Lemon Zest, and all it is strictly the die. There is no accompanying stamp set with this at all. And we're also going to use the Pink Fresh. This is Festive Leaves. Now this one does actually have a coordinating die. A coordinating stamp set. But these are pretty generic shapes, and that's basically what you're going to look for. And we're going to make our own stamps. So you don't necessarily need to have the stamp set, which I don't. I only purchased just the die cuts. So we're going to do some fun stuff today, and I'll show you how you can make your own stamps using die cuts. All right. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Anita. Welcome, ladies. All right, let's get started. Let's just talk about what you're kind of going to need to do this process. You're going to need fun inks, of course, but you're going to need some fun foam. Okay, any color will do. I just happen to grab white, and you just need a little bit of adhesive, and I'm going to use blocks today. You could use your stamp positioner, but for this I highly recommend using some blocks. I know Rhea put in some amazing Catherine Pooler acrylic blocks. This happens to be one. This is my favorite size. This is a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch, and it's my favorite size to use, especially because I love to use smaller stamps. Okay, so I'm going to just cut off a slice of this foam. I'm going to put our extra aside. All right. I'm going to cut these ones out, but I will come back to the lemons, okay? All right, so we're going to set this aside. And this die set does not come apart. It's one fell swoop, and the stamp set's the same way. The stamp set is all melded into one. So when you die cut this, actually I'm going to bring in the larger piece here. That'll work better. You cut all of the stamped images out at once. Okay? Now this stuff is squishy. This will fit through your regular die cutting machine. I'm just using my Big Shot today. Grab my top plate. Okay, so I always cut with my dies facing up, the cutting surface up. I used to do it the other way around, but I find I get a much better process, much better cut when I actually do it the other way with the cutting surface up. And I'm going to call it done because generally, see, it's like a perfect cut. Because it squishes, it does it really, really easy. That was my magnetic plate, which I couldn't do without. All right. So now we can just punch these out. And we'll bring in the other stamp set because I want to show you there's a little bit of detail with the other one that's a little bit different than these. These are basically just an outline shape. There's some sprigs, like berries. There's some boughs, holly, another greenery leaf set. This would be another kind of berry sprig. This is another greenery. So there's all kinds of images in this one. This one's fantastic, actually, for stamps. Because the the shapes are pretty generic, and you can kind of figure out what they would be without peering at the coordinating stamp set. Okay, so lots of fun shapes. You can even use this. That would kind of be a neat stamp set, because then you could, like, if you're an artist, you could draw in all of the negative. So you could draw in some berries and stuff like that. Make a neat background. Okay. But today we're not going to use that. Okay, so we have cut this entire thing. And I'm going to pull in our other set. And I just want to show you in comparison. Let's bring it in a little closer today. Okay. So these actually have cut lines built right into the die cut. So if we flip it over, helps if you're the right side up. This big sprig with the 5 leaves is one continuous die cut. So it's this here. Now there's alternate pieces. There's 5 smaller pieces that actually build up these limey green areas to make the leaves look more dimensional. And that's what, throwing things around, that's what these pieces are. These are the filler pieces on that branch. Plus, these ones also have cut detail. So you're going to get that cut detail in your foam as well. So they're even going to be more detailed. And there's lots of die cuts on the radar that have cut detail that just kind of add your accents. And of course, the cute little lemons have like the peel texture to them too. So that's really cute. So they're a little bit different, but I just wanted to show that these ones are actually a 2-part to build up. You don't have to use the other part, but we are going to show you how to stamp it. Okay. So the next thing I did is, oh, I'm dropping all my stuff here. I'm going to pull in my blocks, and yes, I am actually going to glue these to my blocks because they clean off really easy. And of course, these ones are so generic and they're not 2-pieced. Like these ones, you would have to be very specific as to which side that you glue down versus these ones, they're generic. You could use either side. These ones, you have to be very aware of which direction you adhere them to your blocks. Okay. And all I did, literally, this is just a little bit of multi-tombow glue here. I just added a little bit to the foam. This one should fit on. And I just glued them right to the blocks. They come off very easily. Let's see, what else do we want here? I love the little bows. They do come off very easily from your acrylic blocks, and you can very easily clean them. Okay. Do I have a smaller one that this will fit? Probably not. We're going to have to go this size. And we have to do the holly, don't we? Absolutely. I know, isn't this cool, Teresa? So you could even use generic shapes like hearts or circles, anything like that. They would work really well. And see, this one will fit better on here, and that's okay. We'll just swappy. The glue stays wet for a little bit, so you can actually do that. There we go. And do we have a baby one? We have baby bows. We use baby bows. So, of course, you can't, unless you can come up with a design, you could try, let's see, for instance, okay, I'm just going to pull in a random stamp set that I got on hand here. Okay, so this is my favorite things. They will have a stamp or a die set that goes with this. Now, it's very specific, of course, to the image, right? So die cuts like that may not work, but something that is shaped like this obviously is going to work, or a circle or something like that. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this process. I mean, if you can make it look like something else, yay for you. You can absolutely use them. And all it takes for this is just a little bit of foam. And literally, I think I spent $3 on foam. And I could cut many die sets out. So there we go. We have a few to use. All right. So I'm going to bring in just a good old A2 sized piece of cardstock. If I can get it out of my thingy dingy. Okay. Let's pull in my trusty dusty stamp backer here. We're just going to attach it. And this is just because I'm going to stamp off the edges. And I just want to catch the ink. It's my cleaning surface. Okay, so let's find some funky, like, greens. And I always love the kind of frosty bluey greens in some of the boughs and greenery that we have at this time of year. So I'm going to pull some Catherine Pooler just because I have a ton of them. And we're going to use those. So I'm just going to go... Okay. So let's pull Bay Breeze. This was always a really cool one to use. Let's actually pull Sea Glass. Let's pull some greens. Let's do Sea Foam. Skylight, we'll just choose a few. Spruce is always obvious. Pretty there. I'm going more desaturated colors, so going the Spa line. So this is kind of like an array of colors. I've got green tea here. And let's just experiment. And I'll show you how you can really play up blending using your now homemade stamps. Okay. So I'm going to put these guys off to the side. Okay. So let's start with our Sea Glass because it's so pretty. Okay, I want to see if I can find a blending brush. Just give me a second here. I wasn't totally prepared for that. But thank goodness things are close by. Okay, blending brush. All right, let's start with like the bowie kind of stuff. Okay, so I typically start with the lightest. No, this one, I always do a test. Always. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You can actually wipe these off. In this case, I'm just going to use a piece of paper towel. Okay, so you know what? That's fairly dark. So let's maybe start with our Seafoam color. So we're going to squishy our Seafoam on. And then I'm going to take our little brush friend here with the Sea Glass. Okay. And we're just going to add a little bit of shading, so to speak. So the brush just takes a little tiny bit of the ink and adds it just kind of sparingly. And I guess we're just going to make a random background, okay? So I'm going to start in actually one corner, and then we're going to kind of work our way across. This just aids in being able to fill your entire piece of paper. Okay? So that's kind of subtle. And of course, you can just blot off your ink. Could use a microfiber cloth too, absolutely. Let's go to our beloved holly. Now, I'm not going to worry about the berries just for this moment. So we're going to use our green tea first because it's our lightest. And then we're going to accent. Again, I'm just going to test this first. We'll find a corner. There we go. And there's a little teeny divot in my foam. But that's okay. It just makes it that much more unique. Okay, let's bring in a little bit of eucalyptus. Do I have... I think I have a darker green brush here. Okay, eucalyptus. We're just going to go kind of down the center of our little bunch of holly. Again, I'm not worried about those berries today. Okay, and then of course you find the best. Oh, we're going to have a visitor. Hello, Mr. Marley. Hi, buddy. I could hear him racing upstairs as I was just starting. So I was like, I wonder if he's going to visit me today. Oh, he's going back again. Oh, you have now green paws. That's wonderful. Thanks, buddy. The backs of his, two of his paws hit the eucalyptus. Oh, you just make my day, buddy. All right, let's go for something else here. Let's go Skylight. I love this for bows. Again, we're just going to ink it up and test it first. Boop, boop, doop. And this foam is compact enough in its holes that it gives you a pretty good darn image. Okay, this one looks good. Gonna pouncy, pouncy, pouncy. And of course you could do flat color. You do not have to add to this at all. Like, you don't have to shade this. You could actually shade this way too. You could go direct to stamp. You just have to be a little lighter. Oh, now they're chasing each other. I have two kitties. And my female does not appreciate my little boy at all. He likes to bite her. So they're chasing each other upstairs. That's wonderful. Thanks, guys. Guys, you can stamp off. And I try and get rid of the ink that's on the block too, because you tend to put your fingertips in it. And that's how you transfer bluebies to your work. And you don't want bluebies, right? Okay. Where are we going? Where are we going? What have we done? We haven't done spruce. Let's use a little spruce. Yes, good thing it's washable. Yes. The joys of having kitties, right? And you know what? If you just kind of lightly touched, you can get the texture of the foam, which just adds to the beauty. I like the spongy nature. We're going to do the corner too. There. So we'll just leave that one. Let's see what more. Let's go back to our sea foam here. Let's go to our other little bow. Yes, the foam does stay fairly wet on them. Now you could always go in what they call huffing. So if you've inked it and you had to go, I don't know, wash your hands, you could do this and just breathe on your stamp a few times. And that will add moisture back to that surface. And we're going to go just strictly sea foam this time. So you just add a little moisture from your breath and it will re-moisten that surface too. Okay, there we go. All right. What do we need here? We need a little mix of, let's go sea glass. I'll go somewhere in here. I'm trying to mix up where things land, if that makes any sense. Let's go into our holly. I am going to do a little bit of cleaning here. There's a fair amount of ink that's sitting around my foam. There we go. Again, it's so I don't get super duper inky fingertips. Hi, Melissa. Okay, this one I'm just doing really, really slight kiss. So it's very much, you can see the foam texture in this one. So again, you just find a happy spot. And if you work from one corner across, you tend to have the same kind of spacing between your images. There we go. And again, that one there's just a defect in the foam. And if you don't like that, you know, just go and cut another piece. Or cut that leaf off. You can do that too. Okay, so a little bit of dabby on that one. And I want to go back to this little fella. And I kind of want to go back to the Baberries. I think that's what we used on our last one. Yeah. Okay. A little smushy. Okay. And then always try and orient your stuff in a different manner if you can. I'm trying to kind of keep the gaps kind of closed. So there we go. And once they're inky, it's kind of like conditioning your own stamps. Once they have that kind of ink base in them, they're good to go. They seem to work very well. Very, very well. Okay, what do we need? We need a little dude up here somewhere. So I'm just going to blot, and we need something kind of light. So let's go back to the Seafoam again. So I'm just curious, is this something that you guys would try? Would this be a technique? This would be great for your kids or grandkids. Because, I mean, you could basically throw these away when you're done. Right? Absolutely. Like, done like dinner. Okay, little blotchy. I want to fill in this spot here. And you can always use just the tip of something. So let's go back to our holly. Let's go and do a little eucalyptus. And then maybe we'll accent with our spruce because it's a little darker than the eucalyptus. Okay, and then we're just going to bring in a dark brush. And of course it doesn't have to be fancy schmancy, just dotty splotty. Okay. I'm just blowing off the cat hair since Marley tromped across my card. Yeah, so all you need is foam. That's all it is. You could have your kids or your grandkids or whatever cut out the designs that they want, and you could put them on pieces of wood or something that you might have around the house. You could even you know what? You could even glue them to the bottom of a couple like cheap glasses or styrofoam cups and use them as a stamping surface. And you know what? The kids might be like, yeah, let's go get dirty. Okay, so I want to use more of that green tea because we just don't guts enough on here. Let's go to this. Oh my god, they're chasing each other. It's crazy. Okay. And we're going to do a good saturation of ink. Again, you can wipe off the excess, but as long as you don't get your fingertips in it. Catherine Pooler's acrylic blocks have these kind of indents, so your fingertips fall into that. This is why I love them. And I have like 8 of this size because they're my favorite size. All right. Squishy. Yeah, and see, okay, this is green tea right off the schmuck. And this one is not, because remember, we used another color. I think we used sea glass or something on there. So you might have a little bit of contamination. It's not like a stamp where you can wipe everything off. So just be aware of that. Okay, we're going to do another green tea spriggy part up here. There we go. You know what? Let's fill in the hole too. So you can do partial stamping. Oh, I just want to make sure I get that other leaf. Holy giddy kitties. Okay, we got one little gap. Let's find a little Wiener one. Yeah, let's use this one. What kind of color? Maybe Skylight to finish off this spot. just rotate it till you think it looks good. There we go. And I'm even going to do a little bit more, just an edge on the corner. Ha-ha! Ta-da! You know what? Maybe we'll bring in just a tiny, itty-bitty, teeny tiny one in the corner, and I think we're done. We're done. So yeah, like super duper easy. Easy to clean. And then they just peel off. Okay? Now, I would advise you to either, while this is wet, and the Monotomo glue will stay wet for a bit, let them dry a little bit, and then you can actually use your wonderful adhesive eraser and basically just take this to the surface. You could also use some Undo, which is a liquid. Just apply it to the corner piece of a paper towel and undo it. Use that liquid, and what it does is it gets rid of that residue. So super easy. Okay, so let's kind of make our desk a little bit cleaner here. Let's pull off a few things off to the side. We'll do some lemons too, just a moment. So you can always go in. I'm going to wipe this one down because it's super, super inky. There we go. And again, you can just throw these out because you can just always cut them again. Whatever you want. Okay. So now you can get creative. I'm not sure if my white pen is going to work. I'm not sure if this is flowing today or not. This is a Sharpie white oil-based paint marker. And I'm not sure if I can get it to work today. Come on, little fella. Because these are water-based inks, this, yeah, see, this is not going to cooperate with me today. That's lovely. Lovely, lovely. All right, let's bring in a jelly roll. Okay, so you could have fun with this. So let's just play with this background. Okay, if you want to get your tip going in a white gel pen, use the back of your hand. What it does is it warms up that little ball at the end. You don't have to do it as long as this, but just doodle on the back, and it helps get that little ball rolling and the ink flowing, okay? Now, because these are water-based inks, you are going to have a little blending of color. So, for instance, this isn't going to be stark white. They don't work that way. Now, you can continue to go over top of it if you want, and it will become a little bit whiter, but because of the nature of the ink, it will tint. Okay, so be aware. And you know what? That's absolutely fine. So you can be creative. You could put stitch lines to make them look stitched. You do dotty lines. You could actually come in with some colored pencils. That would stand out a lot better than a white gel pen. But just kind of have fun. Alright. So you're just going to doodle. You could also draw in the image too. Kind of whatever floats your boat. You could always go and stamp, because this one has a stamp set. You could go and stamp on these. So you could emboss it, like dry this thoroughly, and then stamp your actual image from the die set that it's coordinated with, and have like a really cool, you could do it like white embossing or something like that. Like how cool would that be? Or just black. You could do different colors. Like you could do pinks. Like, can you imagine this in different shades of pink or purple? That would be really cool. And something different, like very, very fun stuff. So lots of possibilities with this technique. Something to think about the next time you purchase some fun dies. Okay, so do you guys want to make some lemons? Because I'll show you the secondary stamping that we're going to do with the other set. So have fun. Let's see. I'm going to do one more thing before I... So you could take a darker ink on some of your light inked areas. And use a dark ink instead of the white. So to each his own. You can have fun with this. It's all about experimentation, right? Yeah, have fun. Okay, so lots of possibilities with that. Okay, let's do some lemons. Okay, I'm going to throw that off to the side. And we're going to bring in some lemon parts. Okay, so I've already pre-cut these, obviously. We need another piece of paper. Yes, lovely, lovely pattern paper. Okay, so once again, this is what our die set looks like, and this is a standalone die. It does not have a stamp set to go with it. Okay, we're going to bring in some lovely, lovely bright colors this time. I think I have all of the aspects of my lemons. Oh, there's one. Okay, so I die cut both lemons. I already threw the other one away. This big sprig and all of the 5 pieces that make it like 2-dimensional. Okay, so you can always use this as your guide. So let's start with our biggest aspect here. Okay, so again, we are going to use like a 2-tone ink process. Okay, we're going to start with our greenery part. So I pulled Melon Ice and Martini. Okay, so let's ink it up with Melon Ice. This is a nice bright green. This is like my favorite green of all of Catherine's inks. Okay, so we're going to go, whee! Now again, remember this one has specific cut lines in to show the details of the veins. Isn't that cool? Yes, and so because the die cuts out those, they're like a cut void, right? That's what's going to show up on your stamp. Okay, now the next thing is, hi Carol, is the little bit more difficult part, because then now you have to play, where does this piece fit? So you just have to, before you go and ink it, so find the little leaf part that it matches up with. So this one matches up there. This is way easier to do it when it's dry. Okay, so we're going to use a Martini ink, which is a nice kind of olivey ink. We're going to ink it up, and then I don't even worry about lining them up. I want them to be kind of mismatched. You're never going to get it matched up perfectly unless you use a stamp positioning tool. And you know what? Not today. Not today. Okay, let's use this kind of teardropped one and just make sure we got its buddy. And again, I'm not worried about lining it up perfectly. That one was a pretty good one though. Okay, let's take this one. Again, just make sure you got the right spot. Okay. kind of generically lining it up. And of course, if you don't want these to be like super inky, that's okay, because again, the texture of that foam is just going to add to the texture on those leaves. So yay, yay, yay. That's like a twofer. And I have touched right there. And I will show you a way to see if we can kind of make it go bye-bye. Oh, and see, I did it again. And this is the reason why. Just try your best. And you can wipe off the edges of your blocks before you go and stamp. So like, for instance, if you can see this, see there's a little bit of green on there. So you can wipe it off before you stamp, and then you're less likely to get funky things like that. And you can either start again, which I don't recommend. Let's just have fun, okay? All right, so let's do a lemon or two. So again, we're going to go stamp direct to my limoncello or limoncello. Okay, this piece of foam has some really cool texture. Now, we're going to bring in some glitz as a highlight. And this is where your foam brushes come in handy. And I'm just going to highlight kind of one edge. And then we're going to stamp it. So I'm going to stamp one kind of here. There we go. I like the texture that this foam, it picked it up from my cutting plates. Now, there is a secondary different lemon, but I'm not going to play that game today. So let's just cha-cha it. Limoncello. Do a little more of our fancy schmancy glitz. I love that color. And we're just gonna like put that little fella there. There we go. We have a really, really simple, and this would be really easy to mass produce, like super easy. Now, to combat those funky marks, now we could take the same ink and blend them, but let's just make it even easier. Okay, so I'm going to bring in, I'm just going to bring, this is just like a piece of packaging. It's clear, that's why you can't see it. We're going to put a little bit of martini on it. So you can use your stamp packages for this. You don't need a special tool. We're going to add a tiny bit of water. And we're going to find a fabulous paintbrush. Okay. And then you're just going to just add just some random splatter. Okay. I would highly suggest you doing this in a splat box, not openly on your desk, because when I do this, I end up putting stuff all over my little screen that's sitting here. And I'm going to do very little towards the bottom. Okay. There we go. Super duper simple. And then you could do like a fun little arched sentiment on it. You know, happy birthday, zest for life, you know, whatever the theme is. I mean, you get to be creative, right? That's the best part of this industry, is that just because you have a product and the designer has done this, you do you. I mean, these could be limes, right? They could just be generic shapes. So for instance, let me bring in my samples here. All I did was lemons. So I took the same two colors, limoncello and glitz. All I did was lemons. Just super cute. And then all I did was greenery. Just the greenery. Doesn't even have to have lemons. Now there's lots of little teeny stamps or die cuts in this set. So there's like little daisy flowers and then the little flower kind of on, looking at it on the side. And of course there's additional stem pieces. So lots of possibilities with this. And lots of possibilities with the pink fresh one as well. Now the other thing you could do to your foam is take a stylus tool. Let's see if I can grab mine. Usually it's sitting in one spot. 1 second here. Where's my small one? Okay. So you could go in, and if you go hard enough, you can probably get an impression. So you can make your own veins, if that makes any sense. So this is sliding because of the glue. But if you use a tool, you could make your own texture on the inside. You could even do like just a dot and a spot if you wanted to add texture. And of course, excuse my phone. I forgot this notification stuff to come off. Just use different tools and see what marks you can get. Yeah. So lots of possibilities with this. Yeah, it's a spam call. Don't you love those? So lots of possibilities. The next time you go and look at your dies, take a look at them because you might actually see some different shapes in it. There was somebody not too long ago, and there was like a random die cut. And when she looked at it, she saw an elephant, but it wasn't actually an elephant that it was designed to cut out. So she took just the die cut and painted it to look like a elephant. So you can do the same thing. So if you see, I don't know, this maybe could be a bunny with ears. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? You could do that. So possibilities are endless. Always take a look at your products. You can always find some way to use them in a different manner. And that just makes purchasing worthwhile, right? Absolutely. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you've learned something new or thought about maybe something new the next time you get your supplies out. And I will see you again, hopefully on Sunday. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Have a great week.